good way to talk about people who might want to go into the One Life Game Plan program is to look at a story of two business owners. Let's just call one Will and let's call one Larry. Now, Will and Larry both own what appears to be successful businesses. And Will and Larry actually have businesses that are right next to each other in the same business park. And if you drove up and went by the businesses, they'd look awfully similar. Same number of cars in the parking lot, more or less same size of the building. But if you take a closer look, they're not exactly the same. If you take a look at Larry, his business, he's working too much. Probably working 60 or more hours a week. Doesn't take much vacation, and when he does take vacation, Larry is constantly or regularly on the phone with people in the business asking questions and also answering emails and things like that. He doesn't spend the amount of time with his spouse that he'd like to. If you talk to his wife, Larry's wife would probably say, well, he's always working. Whether he's physically there or not physically there, he's always working. It's a real she believes it to be a real preoccupation for him. And also he sees that he's not able to spend the time with his kids that he'd like to. He has a vision of what the kind of father he'd like to be, and he feels like he's falling short, and he feels like somehow it has to do with the business, and there's just not enough time. He has all these demands on his time. And what happens is Larry's business is kind of running wild. The business is running him rather than him running the business. He might even be a little overweight. He's probably not eating well, maybe even drinking too much. He's just stressed. And he feels like there's not much of a way out. And there's some wrong beliefs out there that guys like Larry really have no choice because the business requires just an awful lot of time. And I think it's true that a business does require time, but then what also is true is that business, Larry's business, will take whatever time he gives it plus another 20%. He cannot outgive the business. It will always need or take another 20%. His job is to tame that business and set it up so that the business is working for him, so that he has time for all the other things he really wants to do. And at the end of his life, he'll be able to look back on those things like family, those things like relationships, and he'll be pleased with that. Now, I want to contrast that with that second business. Remember, we talked about two businesses that look just like each other, right next to each other. So that was Larry's business, but let's talk a little bit about Will's business. Will's business and Will's life looks a little differently. Now, Will is taking regular vacations, and when he takes a vacation, he's not tied to his cell phone all the time. Will's working a reasonable number of hours. He's happy with the level of profitability. Now, he could always make more money, and that would be great, but he's happy where he's at. He's paying his bills. He's not running from one cash flow crisis to the other. And Will is experiencing a level of peace with his spouse and in his personal life that he didn't maybe 5 years before. He's able to find the time and really make the time to be at the kids' most important events or the grandkids, and he's able to take time off. He's working maybe a little more than 40 hours, but somewhere certainly reasonable for his level of success. And he's taking care of himself. He has more of a peace. He feels in control of the business, and he feels like he's running the business rather than the business running him. So we're really talking about two different business owners, and the difference is how they're managing their life. Not just the business, how they're managing their entire life. Whereas Larry feels like he's kind of at the end of the string and the business is running him, Will looks at it a little differently, and he feels that he's more in control. And the difference between Larry and Will is not that much different. We've learned over 30 years of doing this that there are some things that you can do that make your business more like Will's business. And that's what the One Life Game Plan is really all about, moving people from a Larry business to a Will business.